Are you Mr. Davis? Roderick Davis? Just nod your head. Okay. All right, we're about to start your preliminary hearing. This is the state of Georgia versus Broderick Davis, charged in warrant number 2025 CW 50233, financial card transaction card theft. Representing the state is ADA Thomas, representing the defendant is Attorney Carell Lewis, your witness, ADA Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective, could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the evidence you shall give this morning before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Put your hand down. State your name for the record.
Detective Portia Richard.
And how are you employed, Detective?
Currently work for the Forest Park Police Department.
And were you employed in that capacity on December the 6th of 2024?
Yes, I was.
And on that date, did you have occasion to investigate an incident that occurred at 4669 Ruby Lane?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that within the confines of the city of Forest Park, Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am.
And did that incident involve a Broderick Davis?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what brought you into contact? What happened with that incident involving Mr. Davis?
Okay. Well, I responded in reference to an enter an auto incident that happened earlier that morning. The victim, Mr. Caesar Ozario, he reported that someone entered his vehicle and removed his wallet from the middle front console. I responded and processed the vehicle for latent prints and any other evidence in and around the vehicle. I also collected video of the incident, and while on scene, Mr. Ozario, he showed transactions that were made to his bank cards. He received alerts on his phone that about 9 transactions, unauthorized transactions, were being made to a cash app by the name of Warp Behavior.
Is that Mr. Osario's cash app?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I could not hear either of her last two answers. The first answer was made to a cash app belonging to, and I missed the name.
Warp Behavior.
Are you saying WORK?
WARP.
Okay, got it.
Behavior.
Okay, and then Madam Prosecutor asked you if that is Mr. whose cash app?
Mr. Ozario, the victim, no, he does not have a cash app.
Okay, all right, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Does he know who that person is?
No, ma'am.
Did he authorize any transactions to that person?
No, ma'am.
Now let's backtrack just a little bit. You indicate that the incident was captured on video. What are we talking about here?
Mr. Ozario has surveillance cameras outside of his home.
And did any of those cameras capture someone going into his vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to review that video?
I was.
Did you see? What did you see?
I observed a thin in stature, what appears to be a male, wearing a hooded jacket, a book bag, long pants, with gloves. He went in the front passenger side of Mr. Ozario's vehicle. He just opened the front door, it opened, and then he was seen rumbling around in the middle console. He removed an item, got out of the car, attempted to open the second vehicle that was parked behind Mr. Ozario's truck, but it was locked. And then he proceeded to cross the street and check the other handles on the other vehicles.
Did you see a face?
No, ma'am. He had a face mask on as well as a hood.
Where's that video now?
It's and there's a DVD and evidence as well as saved in our report system.
Did the victim authorize anyone to go into his vehicle?
He said he did not.
Could you tell if the person was removed anything from the vehicle that he was able to enter?
He did appear to have removed an item.
But could you tell what the item was?
I couldn't.
Now, the victim indicated that several transactions were made to a cash app.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do after that?
Well, I subpoenaed Block Inc. for the cash out of warped behavior on December the 20, I think it was the 26th.
Okay,
And
let me stop you 1 second. Who is Block Inc.?
Block Inc. is the cash out. It's like the cash out doesn't have. Yes, it's a corporate that's over cash out.
Okay.
I can't subpoena cash out directly, so I have to go through Block Inc.
Okay. And what was the results, if anything, of your subpoenas to Block Inc.?
Well, Block Inc. returned with a response in about a month, and it showed the account holder as being a Broderick Tyrone Davis. It provided the last four of the social phone number connected to the account. It also had as the display name. It's changed several times. Some days it would be work behavior. Some days it would be Broderick Davis. There was also, other than phone number, I think there was an email also said Broderick Davis. I think it was 86 at Yahoo. Just other information that had to be provided by the user, the owner of that account. And
okay, just for clarification, who is the owner of the account?
It's a Broderick Tyrone Davis.
Okay. So after determining that the owner of the account was a Broderick Davis, were you able to make contact with Mr. Davis?
I made several attempts to contact Mr. Davis with the phone number from his GCIC return, the phone number provided by Block Inc., as well as on TLO numbers that were listed for him. And I was, there were unsuccessful attempts. I left voicemails, but I did speak to a relative who stated she did not know how to get in contact with Mr. Davis. My last attempt, the person called me back and they just sat on the phone, didn't say anything. And when I stated who I was and my reason for calling, they hung up.
So you never actually talked to him on the phone, is that correct?
Correct.
How did you come to arrest someone?
Well, with the results that I got from Block Inc., stating that Mr. Davis made the 9 attempts, the 9 attempts that were made from Mr. Osario's account were also reflected on the Block Inc. transcript. Each account, for the same date of the incident, which was December the 6th, the same time frame, the same exact amounts for each transaction were all on Mr. Davis's Cash App. So I took out a warrant.
And to this day, have you ever had a conversation or interview with this defendant?
No, ma'am.
Did Mr. Osario give anyone permission to take money out of his account and put it in this account to this Cash App?
No, he did not.
Did he ever get his money back?
Yes, Mr. Osario disputed the transactions and they were returned to his account.
Block Inc. returned the money?
Yes, ma'am.
Not Mr. Davis?
Correct.
Could you tell if anyone else had access to that particular account, the one that had warped behavior on it?
No, I could not.
But it was registered to him? Or is that what they call it? Is it registered?
He's listed as the account holder.
Okay. One second, Your Honor. I think that might be it. Was the wallet ever recovered?
I'm sorry. Objection. Facts not in evidence.
You want to respond, A.J. Thomas?
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to figure out what does he mean by facts not in evidence when the detectives already testified that the victim's wallet was removed and that the bank card was in the wallet.
Objection?
Did the
Overruled.
okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead, ADA Thomas.
Ask the question.
Yes.
Thank you. Was the wallet ever recovered?
No, ma'am.
Were any other items inside the wallet used?
No, they weren't reported as being used.
Just this one.
Yes, ma'am.
And all of this happened back in December?
Yes, ma'am. Of 2024.
Okay. Have you ever seen Mr. Davis?
Besides his driver's license photo, no.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that's all I have of the detective reserve right for redirect.
All right. Go ahead, Attorney Lewis.
Thank you. Detective, you have seen the driver's license photo, correct?
Correct.
And did you compare the driver's license photo to what you saw on the video recording?
I did make note of his stature, his weight, and height on the license.
And what weight and height did you see on the license?
Mr. Davis was about 5'11", 160, which to me is pretty thin in stature and has a little height on him.
Okay. And when you say to you, why do you say it that way? Why do you qualify that statement like that?
It's just from my experience, you know.
Oh, okay.
My opinion of thin might not be your opinion of thin.
Oh, I see. I understand. But nothing that you saw on the driver's license matched the facial features, the hair color, the eye color of what you were able to see on the video. Is that right?
No, sir. I could not see any of that on the video.
Okay. All right. And I believe you said 5'11", 160, right?
I think so. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that unusual? The height of 5'11", 160?
In
Is that so?
comparison
Meaning, is there only one person in Forest Park that's 5'11" and 160 pounds?
Oh, of course not.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Were there any other identifying features that you were able to see? I heard you say a mask. What color was the mask?
It appeared to be black.
Was the video in color?
Well, it was in black and white, but at certain moments it would switch over to color, and it was just random. They couldn't explain why.
The they you're talking about is the owner of the camera?
Correct.
Okay. One moment, please. Now, did you see the video itself on the recording device, or was the video removed from the recording device and given to you?
I initially reviewed it on the recording device.
And on the recording device where you saw it, it did this black and white, the color thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Now, what time of day was this video taken?
Well, there was a discrepancy with the video. It displayed like, I think it was like 5, but I think it was an hour ahead.
It displayed 5 a.m., p.m.?
5 a.m. But we found out that it was an hour ahead by the owner.
Was the video recording device subject to manual manipulation on the time?
Could it have?
Could it have been manually? So in other words, was there a clock feature on it that let the owner set the time?
No, not which was directly accessible, not in front of me. Maybe if he went to the settings and stuff, but not that I could see from reviewing the video, no.
Were the settings somewhere else other than on the device itself?
Not on the screen we were on, no.
And the screen that you were looking at was the device itself?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you've got two anomalies happening on this video. One is that it's going from color to black and white, and secondly, there is a time discrepancy between what is alleged to have been the time of the entering of the automobile and the actual time. Is that correct?
It's correct, but I was able to get additional video and I was able to correlate the two videos and
Okay.
confirm that the time frame was actually 4 a.m. and not 5 a.m.
All right. Tell us about the additional video, please.
There was additional video. There was a house about two houses north of the victim's house where they also observed a male walking through their yard, which was suspicious to them. When I made contact, I was able to get a copy of that video as well.
All right. And that was from an additional house, a couple of houses down. Did I hear you say correctly?
Yes, sir.
And the person that you see on that video at that time, can you see the person?
Yes, sir.
All right. Are you able to see their facial features?
They were covered with a face mask and a hood as well.
So still no facial identification, just a mask and the hood. That's a hoodie, right? Like the sweatshirt?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And the face mask, what color did it appear to be on that video?
If I'm not mistaken, that it was black in color.
It was black in color. All right. And what about the hoodie itself? Any color features there?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. The person that continued to be thin,
Yes, sir.
and from the video, were you able to deduce the height was around 5'11"?
I couldn't tell just by looking at the video.
All right. Back to the original video. When you looked at that, were you able to deduce the height was around 5'11" of that person?
Well, the person was fairly taller than the vehicle, like almost level with the vehicle.
Okay. So does that mean you were able to deduce the height was around 5'11", or you were not able to deduce
I
the
wasn't
height?
able to deduce the height.
Okay. Okay. I got it. I got it. I heard you say you collected fingerprint evidence. Is that right?
I did.
All right. What did your fingerprint evidence yield?
Well, they yielded that the results came back to the owner of the vehicle.
So the owner of the vehicle's fingerprints were the ones that you were able to find?
Correct. But
Okay.
I processed the vehicle prior to reviewing video. And when I reviewed video, I did see that the male was wearing gloves.
So now the person who was seen on a video of the owner had gloves on.
Yes, and I stated that in my report.
Yeah. And the video that you see of the other house 2 blocks down or so, or 2 houses down, that person had gloves on as well?
Yes, sir. They were wearing the same clothing.
All right. Now, I also heard you to say that an object was removed from the car. You were able to see that on the video. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Were you able to determine what that object was?
I couldn't determine from the video, no.
Okay. How about when the person is 2 houses down? Are you able to see an object in their possession?
No, sir.
Okay. When you look at the video after it is removed from the automobile, is the object out in the person's hand or under their arm or something?
No, sir. I didn't see them with the object in their hand once they got out of the vehicle.
All right. So you could see through the vehicle, meaning through the glass or an open door, that they had an object in their hand.
Through
Correct?
the windshield. Yes,
Through
sir.
the windshield.
Mm-hmm.
But as the person transitioned out of the vehicle, you were not able to see an object in their hand. Is that right?
Correct.
You could not see them put an object in their pocket. Is that correct?
Correct.
You couldn't see them put an object in the bag. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Did the person have a bag?
They had a book bag.
They had a book bag. Where was the book bag when they were in the vehicle?
I don't recall if they still had it on or removed it. I don't remember.
Okay. Did you see them go into the vehicle?
I did.
Where's the book bag when they went into the vehicle?
On their back.
On their back. When you see them and they've now gone into the vehicle and gotten out of the vehicle, where's the book bag?
I apologize, but I can't recall.
Okay. Okay. When you see them on the camera 2 houses down or so, where's the book bag?
On their back.
Is it in a different place on their back than it was when you saw them before they went into the vehicle?
No, sir.
Okay. Were you ever able to locate the book bag?
No, sir.
All right. When the first person whom you identify as the victim showed you the video, did he show you all the video from that night?
It was no, sir. It started from, I think it displayed 5, but it started from 4 a.m. to almost 6 a.m.
So 4 a.m. on that device, or 4 a.m. as you recognize the time is off?
4 a.m. as I recognized the time was off.
All right. So on that device, they showed you 5 to 6. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And they don't show you any footage prior to that. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. On that device, the person who gains entry to the vehicle, how do they gain entry to the vehicle?
They opened the front door. It was unlocked.
Okay. Okay. So they opened the front door and they just gained access. They didn't break anything to get into it. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. But you don't get to see any other footage prior to that time. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. So you don't get to see the owner leaving the car unlocked. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you don't get to see anybody else who would have entered or may have entered the car in the intervening time between the time he left and the time that the person at 5 a.m. goes in. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, let's turn, if we will, to the actual Cash App transaction itself. I heard you to say that there were 9 attempts on the Cash App. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And does the Cash App transaction tell you that a receipt was given by text or email?
Not the documents I received from Block Inc. No, sir.
Okay. So there's no place or no indication on that whether a text or an email receipt was given for the transaction. Meaning it's not a question of did you see it on there, but there's no place to see it on there. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Did you ask Block Inc. about that?
About text receipts or
Yes.
email? No,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. And I heard you to say that it went to the Cash App belonging of my client. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. But it doesn't show who the person is that sent it. Is that right?
Mm, you mean the victim? The
No,
victim's name?
no,
Or
no, not the victim's name. So I'm a businessman. I
Mhm.
receive payments through Cash App. People come on, they swipe it on the little scanner thingy, and then it ends up in my account. Does it show you who the person is that did the little swiping on the little thingy, or whether they manually entered without swiping it through the card reader?
Um, that's a good question. If I could have a moment to look, I can tell you.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. If the prosecutor don't have an objection.
Objection.
Repeat the question.
Yes, ma'am. Does it show who the person is that is doing the financial transaction?
No, it just says P2P attempts, person to
Okay.
person.
Person to person attempts. All right. Did you ask them at Block Inc. what that meant?
No, I did not.
All right. Detective, I am trying to arrive at some evidence for the court here. And so I'm going to tell you a scenario and you tell me if this is plausible. My wife uses my Macy's card. Does this thing, this report that you've got, weigh out or exclude? I don't know if Mr. Broderick Davis has a wife or a cousin, but does it exclude somebody else using their card?
No, it doesn't. He couldn't.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let me try something different. Does the card have an RFID on it?
What is an RFID?
It's one of those little things where we walk by and they take our money right off of our card. Does the card reader or the card itself have an RFID on it or an RFID reader?
I
Was
don't
that
know.
employed? Okay. Do you know if it was swiped or if it was manually entered?
It just says attempted P2P.
Mm-hmm.
It
But
doesn't.
so in other words, you don't know the answer. It may be there somewhere, but you don't know it. Or it's not there at all.
I don't see anything that shows how the card was used.
Does it say how much the transaction fee was for the amount of money taken and deposited?
No, it doesn't show a fee, only the amounts withdrawn.
All right, so it doesn't tell you if it's a manual. So, and I'm just going at this in every way because I want to make sure I've got it. It doesn't tell you whether it's a manual entry or if it's a system entry.
No, sir.
All right. Um, all right. There were 9 attempts with to put money into Mr. Davis's account. Is that right?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
There were 9 attempts to put money into Mr. Davis's account.
Correct.
And of those 9 attempts, how many were successful?
Neither of them say reversed on the block ink.
So it is your understanding that all of them were successful?
Correct.
And what was the total of the amount that was deposited into Mr. Davis's account?
1,000. I'm sorry. I listed them individually. 1 second.
I'm sorry. You can give them to me individually, ma'am. I am.
There were 2 attempts for $250.
Uh-huh.
One for $150.
Uh-huh.
One for 100,
Uh-huh.
80,
Uh-huh.
$50,
Uh-huh.
$5, and $10.
Uh-huh. All right. And what happened? I'm assuming you gave those to me in chronological order. Is that right?
No,
Is that
the $250, they were like separate.
were they first or last?
One of them was first.
Okay. And then what happened next?
Okay. I'm sorry. I have the transactions from Mr. Osario's account. Okay.
I don't know if you were speaking to yourself or
I was speaking to you. I wanted to show you. I have a list from Mr. Osario's account to show the order of each transaction.
yeah, just tell them to us. You gave us the numbers.
$125.
That was the first one, correct?
It appears that was the first one.
Okay.
Wait. I'm sorry. $80 was the first.
Uh-huh.
$100.
Uh-huh.
$125.
I'm sorry, say it again.
$125.
Uh-huh.
$150.
Uh-huh.
$50.
Uh-huh.
$250.
Uh-huh.
$250.
Uh-huh.
and 150.
All right. And at that point, that's the last. That 150 is the last one, correct?
Um, appears this. Wait, no, it looks like the 250 is the last.
All right. So the 150 that you gave us last, does it go above the 250?
It's, yes, right above the 250s.
Above both of the 250s.
Yes, I
All
have,
right.
so
It's all right. So you got the 50 and then the 150 and then 250 twice.
I got 50, 80, 100, 125, 150, and 250 twice.
I got it. I got it. All right. Hold on. All right. I'm going to read them back in order: 50, 80, 100, 125, 150, 150 again.
No,
Okay. All right. And then 250 and 250.
yes,
All right. Cool. All right. Now they stop at this particular point. Is that correct?
yes.
Why do they stop?
I have no idea why they stopped.
Okay. Okay. All right. Just a second, please, detective.
I missed two, sorry.
Where did they go, detective?
Okay, there's another sheet because there's sheets where I have the printout of the reversibles too, and there are two that were taken out for $10 and $25 as well.
All right. Where were they taken in this order? The 10 and 25.
Good question.
Okay. Don't even sweat it. I heard you say you got reversibles. Is that correct?
Where the yes, where his funds were put back on his card.
They were put back on prior to him calling the card holder or whomever he called.
I'm not sure the exact date they were put back on, but
So you don't have dates or times on these transactions.
no, sir. His daughter was able to give me a printout, and I'm not sure what dates because they're not displayed on the printouts.
I see. His daughter gives you a printout of what?
It says bank transactions.
Bank transaction. All right. And it tells you what bank on that printout.
It only shows no, it doesn't have the account number, no.
His daughter gives these to you?
Yes, because she was English speaking, he was Spanish speaking.
Okay. Do you know if this printout that the daughter has given you comes from the actual card that is alleged to have been used?
Well, it was a Bank of America card. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. But what's on your transaction report? Does that say Bank of America card?
There's a Bank of America logo on the phone app. Yes, sir.
On the phone app, it says. So she's taking screenshots of the phone through the phone.
That appears how she did it. Yeah.
Okay, but it doesn't tell you if it's her account or his account. It just tells you that it's a Bank of America account.
Correct.
Okay. All right, detective. Let me look through my notes one more time, and then I think we're done. Hang on just a moment, please.
Mhm.
All right, detective, I'm just going to count these up. I'm not going to even try to add the numbers up because that wouldn't do any good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, I've got 9 total transactions, including the 10 and the 25 that you told me about earlier. That's what you got, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. I have no further questions for well, yes, I do. One other question. Did you ever get a chance to talk with the person who you swore out the warrant, right, for his arrest?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever get a chance to talk to him?
No, sir.
Uh, did you ever get a chance to talk to anybody about the money that was actually in the Cash App account of Mr. Davis?
No, sir.
And how old is Mr. Davis?
Just born in 91.
Okay. And this Cash App account was opened when?
It was open prior. Like, I don't recall the exact date.
So if it was open for the last 20 years, you would know it or not from what you got right now.
It had been created, I think, in 2023.
Created in 2023.
Yes, sir.
And is that money still in that Cash App account of Mr. Davis?
Not to my knowledge.
Why did you qualify that, detective?
Why did I qualify what?
Your answer. Do you know that it is, or you know that it's not, or you don't know?
I don't know whether it is or isn't.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. That's all.
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. There was a somewhat lengthy line of questioning regarding the person who actually entered the vehicle. Okay. The video never shows the person's face, correct?
Correct.
Does it show anything else about the person's body?
Appeared to be a brown skinned male. Can't really see anything distinguishing that. No, no, it didn't.
Okay. So you couldn't tell he was low cut like you, maybe have a fro, anything like that?
I couldn't.
Okay. And you weren't able to lift prints because the person had on gloves.
Correct.
Were you ever able to let me phrase it. Were you ever able to determine if this defendant's, if his card was stolen, his Cash App information?
Was not.
Excuse me?
I was not.
So to the best of your knowledge, this transaction was from him.
Correct.
And regarding the money that was left in his account, did Block Inc. provide any information regarding that?
Just only the information they provided was specific to those transactions and when they were received.
And they refunded the money back to the victim?
It appeared that way. I don't know if it was the bank or Block Inc. I'm not sure. Transactions were reversed.
Okay. And to this day, you have not talked to the defendant himself about any of this?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I have.
Recross, Judge.
All right, go ahead.
Madam Prosecutor asked you a question. She says you were not able to lift prints because the defendant had on gloves. You remember that question?
Yes, sir.
So were you able to get any prints from the daughter in the car?
Prints from the daughter.
Yeah. You said that the daughter sent you the images from a phone account of Bank of America. So we know the man has a daughter.
Correct.
but the only prints that you said you were able to recover from the car are the prints of the victim, right?
Correct. I only processed the passenger side door of both vehicles because I was told that's where the person entered, and
Uh-huh.
prints that returned were from Mr. Azario.
So you did not find any prints in the car from his daughter, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And did you get any partial prints?
I got partials and full prints. Yes, sir.
Partials and full prints, but all of those on the passenger side of the victim's car, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did the victim does he not drive, he drives his car, or he's just a passenger in his car?
He drives his car.
He drives his car. And when you say passenger side, you mean the opposite side from where the steering wheel is, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. All right. And then lastly, I heard you say to Madam Prosecutor that you don't know if it was Block Inc. or the bank that refunded the money. Is that correct?
Correct.
But what I understood from your earlier direct testimony is that Block Inc. is simply the records holder for Cash App, right?
Correct.
Okay. So let me refine her question just a little bit. You don't know if Cash App or their parent company, Square, issued the refund or if the man's bank got the refund. Is that a better way of saying that?
Correct.
Okay. And then finally, my last question on this is, are there any other transactions that occurred for this man that needed to be reversed other than these 9?
Not to my knowledge, but I didn't ask.
Yeah, all right. All right. I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, closing arguments. Go ahead, 88 Thomas.
And I'll reserve to the end.
All right, Attorney Lewis.
Judge, so first and foremost, I think the detective in this case probably did as good as she could have done. And I only say that because I've recently had to deal with this same kind of issue as well, as a vendor, as a person who accepts payments. And it is a very difficult process that she's had to undertake. Um, the problem with this, however, is that she's missing some key elements that would help all of us, the court, be able to answer what actually happened. First, there's not enough here for financial transaction card theft, because we don't know who the thief is. We don't know if there is one thief or multiple thieves. We know that in the car, something was taken according to the victim. We don't see that something go into the possession of the person who is in the car. We know that something is in the person's hands, as the detective is able to see through the windshield, but we don't know if it goes into a pocket, the backpack, or nothing else. And I ask those questions because it's relevant at this point in time as to whether the person who enters the car picks up something that has no value and puts it back. Let's say they intended to steal. They pick up something and they're like, man, this ain't worth nothing. And they put it back. We don't know the answer to that question because the detective can't see the answer to that question. What she sees is that someone has gone into a vehicle of an unlocked door, and according to the victim, that there is a wallet in the car that presumably he leaves there. We don't know if he or anybody else visited that car, because the only video he gives her is a video that is from a time that she believes, that, meaning the detective believes, is from 4 a.m. to 5 a.m., although on his camera it's from 5 to 6. The detective correctly challenges what she sees on the video because in addition to the time discrepancy, she's also got a video that's partially in black and white and partially in color. Um, and I would submit to you, Judge, you can't get that. If it's one camera taking pictures and it's taking pictures of something, it's either going to take them in black and white or it's going to take them in color. It can't take them in both. But she has this anomaly here, and she asked that question, but she doesn't get an explanation that satisfies her, or maybe she gets an explanation that doesn't make sense. I have no idea. The problem that we have, however, is that all of the conclusions are made because allegedly my client's account receives the money. And I gave an example that I'm absolutely 100% certain that everybody that is witness to this conversation can agree with. I said, you know, like my wife takes my Macy's card and she goes to the store and shops. She does that. My wife does it. She absolutely does that. And anybody else could do it as well if they had a card. If they wanted to pay Mr. Davis for something, if they wanted to repay Mr. Davis for something, uh, yeah, if they wanted to share in the bounty of their theft. We don't know, because the important question that is asked, that needed to be asked, is one, was there a receipt given, and if so, to whom? And then two, the nature of how the actual money moves from the card to the Cash App account. And I ask those questions because I now have minor children who have Cash App accounts. And they don't have to have a card to get the money into the Cash App account. They just have to know a number. And the Square company, who is the owner of Cash App, actually charges a different fee for the transaction that is done manually as opposed to one that is done using a card reader. Well, the detective doesn't have that information. And so what we have is money going into this account, but we don't know how it gets in there or from whom it gets in there. All we know is that it has gotten there. And for a reason unbeknownst to any of us, and I asked the question, why does it stop? Why doesn't it keep going? Does the man run out of money? Does Cash App or Square say, hey, we see all these transactions going on? We don't know why it stops. All we know is that it stops. I asked the many questions about the transaction order because I wanted to see what was going on. So we got $10. We got amounts that are escalating. Sometimes they go in and out, meaning high and low in the midst without a reason. Doesn't start out at $1,000. Doesn't start at $500. Doesn't start at $250. Starts out at 10. Well, there is no explanation that is offered here, but logic would have you that if the person got $10 and let's say they didn't know how much was there and they only wanted to try a small number first, then they would go to a much larger number. That is a possibility, but why go down? Why go down in the middle and then back up? Or maybe we take the thief that says, let me get all that I can the first time out, right? And then I'll take whatever else I can get later on. Well, it doesn't start out in that order. It starts out with 10. And so I'm trying to, in my questions, ask a logical pattern. The problem that we have with this particular defendant that's sitting in front of us, Judge, is that this defendant is only identified because he is 5 feet 11 inches tall, 160 pounds, and his account is the receipt of some money that has been moved there. We don't even know if it's a shared account or what kind of account it is. All we know is that it is the place where the money is received. We don't even know if the defendant himself knows the money is in there because no one ever goes back to question. And I made that statement because I just did a high-profile case in Fulton County where money ended up in an account, and the person didn't know how to get it out. She was 80 years old. She didn't even know how to get it out. And so we got too many anomalies in here to satisfy the preponderance status. We're at the beginning stages of an investigation. It is possible that with more evidence that satisfies these particular questions that I've raised here, that a case can be made out against someone, but there's not enough here right now to make out a case for financial transaction card theft. The best case that I could see if the court wanted to just, man, I got to get something. I mean, I got a guy that's arrested here. He has the money, or at least the money is in an account that bears his name, might be a theft by receiving. Um, um, and if that's what the court decides to do, fine. I can't even say at this point in time that it can be even a good theft by receiving case, because nobody goes back to him and questions him as to, does he know the money there? Or even better, how about this? The money is there and he started spending it. That would be a good indicator that money, but we don't have any of that. And so I'd ask the court at this point in time to dismiss this charge. If the prosecutors get something better later on, then they can present it to their grand jury and come back. I'm going to touch on one final note here, and then I'm going to leave this. We know that the person is brown skinned, that they're 5 feet 11 inches tall, or maybe not, because the detective wasn't able to come to that conclusion. And I asked that question. We know that they were taller than the car, but we don't know if they're 5 feet 11 inches tall. She says they're 160 pounds. We get the 160 pounds and the 5'11" from my client's driver's license, but not from the detective's observation of what she sees. And so I would submit to you that there's not even enough here to identify my client as the thief, the taker, without the intent to return of a financial transaction card from anywhere. And so I'd ask the court to dismiss it. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead, Attorney ADA Thomas.
Yes, ma'am. And again, I'm going to try to be brief, and for the most part, I do stand on the officer's testimony. However, what we have here, first and foremost, regarding the actual injury is a physical description from what the officer, not just what she was told, but what she actually saw from that video that appears to match the defendant that is before the court today. The officer concedes that she has yet to have a conversation with this young man regarding what was going on with his cash out. But I would like for the court to consider this. Why would a stranger put money 9 times in this gentleman's account? Why would a stranger do that? Second of all, this isn't an accident. These deposits started out, the way I had a bank describe it to me once, was a test. You start out with a little bit of money, $10. Okay, that works. And you take a little bit more. That works. And you keep going until somebody stops you or until you get what you want. The court will notice the amounts that were discussed between the detective and Attorney Lewis. You got $10, then 25, then 50, then 80, then 100, and so on, up to about, I think the maximum amount was $250. Who does that? I can't think of any transaction that would come out and look like that. This was somebody who appropriated the card of someone else by taking it out of their car, did a test run to see, okay, yeah, some money in the account, and then started debiting, taking the money out to see how much they could get before it was cut off. And Your Honor, I don't think a stranger would take another stranger's account information and deposit money into that. I think the person that did it is the person before the court today. Your Honor, state would contend at this point, based on the officer's testimony, sufficient evidence has been presented to transfer this case to the Superior Court.
All right. So based upon evidence presented, I do find that there is sufficient probable cause to bind this charge over to the Clayton County Superior Court. That's the order of the court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And that was Davis. All right. And so what about Sequario Davis?
Yeah, I've been trying to reach that officer. I don't see him as logged on yet, so state would be asking for a continuance in that matter. I do have
First time on the calendar?
It appears to be, Your Honor.
No, that would object. I'm gonna move to dismiss, kind of in 2 parts on this, because for one, I'm moving to dismiss everything for one of the prosecution, just because for one, we don't have any explanation about where the officer is. But for 2, more specifically, as it relates to a couple of the charges, based on the warrantless arrest affidavit, venue's not even proper in Clayton County. And I'm basing that from the statements in the warrantless arrest affidavit.
But
And Your Honor,
you're
that is
saying
one
that
of
are you trying to say that the incident didn't happen in Clayton County?
The charges that seem to constitute the aggravated assault from reading the warrantless arrest affidavit, that occurred in Fulton County, Judge. And it's listed on there that the officer refers to Pryor Street, talks about how the chase started from Old National, gets on the Interstate 85, and that the parts that constitute the alleged aggravated assault happened at Pryor Street.
And so, ADA Thomas, have you had an opportunity to review these warrants?
I have, and actually, Mr. Rogers and I have discussed it. And I think where we left it at is I really need to get clarification from the officer as to exactly what happened, and the officer has not logged on today. Therefore, state is asking for a continuance in this matter. Now, I do know, Your Honor, that the officer may be thinking that this is one continuous incident that started in Clayton County and ended in Fulton County. And I do know also, as I've prosecuted in cases, you can prosecute the case, from my understanding, either where it started or where it ended. And in this particular case, I believe the officer is opting to prosecute the case where it started, as a chase, basically. But I would like the opportunity to continue the case just to confirm, because of the nature of the incident and the fact that 2 officers were struck by this gentleman in their car, were struck by the defendant.
Judge, the only thing I say about that is that's not correct. The statute for venue is 17-2-2. It does make exceptions for some crimes like kidnapping, murder, things of that nature. But an aggravated assault, venue is proper in the county where it occurs. And that's the part that's supposed to have occurred at Pryor Street.
And I don't think
Right.
the statute is broke down exactly like that, but
It
again,
definitely is.
state will request a continuance.
All
Just
right. And so I'm going to continue, but I'm going to look up. We're going to look up these statutes myself as well. We're going to continue it to 625. If the court comes up with some different perspective, then I will do an order to that effect.
And Judge, just for clarity, I appreciate it, but just for clarity, I'm only referring to the 2 aggravated assault charges. The rest of it, I think is probably, from what I can gather, I can see how it could be proper here in Clayton, but those specific charges is all what I'm referring to.
Only to the aggravated assault.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mhm.
And then, Judge, if I could jump in to let Mr. Davis know, because he definitely wanted to litigate that issue today.
And then, Attorney Rogers, what did we do with Philip Smith? Was that just what were we doing?
I tried, so I didn't quite get a chance to talk to him yet, Judge. And just so you know, we're still on YouTube. But yeah, if I can jump